Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 7, Episode 14. Very special guest, Jack from Half Chrome Jones. Jack, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here, Bill.
It's absolutely great. It's been way too long since we've had you on, so way overdue. So I'm real pleased you can join us tonight.
Yeah.
Ron and Marcus, of course, they're in transit down to the South Florida drone meetup, as well as a lot of people tonight. So and that's one thing that I wanted to cover right off the bat with everybody. One of the things that I wanted to tell you is about the weather, and I wanted to make sure that people are kind of prepared for this. When you come down here, one of the things that we're going to have tomorrow facing us, and this is posted out on the Village Drone Reviewer Facebook group, we're going to have some really bad storms tomorrow. They're talking about tornadoes, high winds, and a lot of rain in large parts of the state. So I wanted everybody to, if you're driving, especially, to be prepared for it. If you're flying in, you may get some kind of a delay. What this also means, too, it's bringing in a cold front, as they say, quote unquote. And temperatures, like for the most part, early this week, it was like 88 today. It was 85 yesterday. It's going to go, they're going to take a nosedive. It's going to be in the mid 70s. So especially for Saturday and being down by the water, I would definitely think about bringing some kind of a windbreaker or something, or maybe long sleeves, because it's going to be a little bit chilly down there, just to let you guys know about that. And again,
can I jump in real quick, Bill?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just, that sounds terrible, but it's literally snowing outside right now where I am. And listen, I get it. Like, you're in Florida, it was 88, now it's going to be 70. That's significant. I would love that right now.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Well, we'll see. And here's the thing, and a lot of people don't realize this, a couple things about living in Florida. Of course, I lived up north my whole life until, I met Valerie and moved down here 13 years ago. Couple of the things. One, when they say it's like 50, up north, it feels nice. When it's 50 down here, it's really like 40 because there's so much moisture in the air. It's like you got to put coats on, you got to put jackets on. That's just something you have to deal with. And then we're going to skip spring. Okay, we almost always skip spring. We jump from what I call, Florida's version of winter. It hits, summer's going to hit. And right next week, we already got a forecast. Humidity's going to go up. It's going to be in the upper 80s. And as our meteorologist says, it's going to be downright miserable. And look forward to that for about the next 4 months, because that's about exactly what we're going to get. So that's the way it is here, kind of in Florida. That's the deal. That's how things kind of work here. So but yeah, Saturday at Jensen Beach, and just to give you and everybody out there, viewers, an update, Valerie and I will be down there. However, we're only going to be down there for the day on Saturday. Valerie had to work Friday. I already took Friday off. So I'm going to be doing a lot of video production and editing and stuff on Friday on my day off. But Saturday morning, we're going to get up early. We're going to be there. Expect us before 10. I would say 9:30, somewhere around that range. And we're going to stay for the day. We're looking forward to seeing everybody, meeting everybody. Unfortunately, we can't be there for the Friday night get together, and we can't be there for the dinner that I know will happen Saturday night, but we'll be there during the day and we'll enjoy it and have a great time. Enough of that. Jack's here tonight. Jack, it's just a thrill to have you. I'm really, really happy about that.
Thanks for having me. I love coming in and talking drones. That's something anybody, if they're like, hey, Jack, you want to talk about drones? I'll be like, absolutely.
It's not like you got to twist your arm to do something like that.
It's not really hard. Yeah.
That's not that hard. And it's the same way for me. It's like with my wife, because I'll wear my shirt out in public and people will start talking to me and stuff. Well, I have cards in my wallet that I hand them, with my website address, with the YouTube channel on it and everything. And it's just like, you can't. She goes, you can't stop. And I said, well, no, that's part of who I am. But since we talked last, I've started two other channels. I do one called Ham Radio Basics, because ham radio is another hobby that I got into when I moved down to the state of Florida. I remember you
talking about that a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm real close to getting monetized on that. I've done fairly well. Cool. I've gotten a good bunch of people. We're going up to Ohio. They have the largest ham radio convention in Dayton in May, so we're heading up for that, and then we may go to one in Huntsville. We just had one in Orlando, and the other channel I started was I just bought a Toyota Tundra, so it's called Tundra Nation Basics. That's taken off. I've already got about 200 subscribers on that, and we're going good guns. So I'm keeping busy because in about a year and a half, I'm going to be officially retired from my job. So it's like my wife goes, I have no worries on what you're going to be doing after you retire. So
yeah, you found yourself a couple of hobbies, a few hobbies actually.
Yes. And it's good because, if it gets slow in one, I can always go to the other and vice versa. So that's always good about that. Well, we had some news come out today. I think, matter of fact, I think it was today. The Avata 2 is going to be out on 4/11/24. And I'm going to pull up this article from, it was on Drone XL from Hi Kesteloo. And by the way, thank you so much for being on last week. We really enjoyed having you on the show. So let's go ahead and share this here. All right. DJI teases upcoming April 11th drone launch, likely DJI Avata 2. And there's the picture of it. And it's going to be on April 11th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is something I wanted to bring up because, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the first time I met Jack was when the DJI Mavic 2 was premiering in Brooklyn, okay, which was it, and it ends up that was the last time DJI had an in-person event for a drone release. I mean, it's significant. They're not doing this anymore, and of course, COVID kind of reared its ugly head, and that kind of messed it up. But I think they realized something, and as Jack can probably attest to, they put on a world-class show.
It's really nice. It was awesome, actually. It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, Valerie and I just absolutely were thrilled. It was so enjoyable, and now they realize something, that they can do these online, have a couple videos, throw them out there, and it's going to save them a whole lot of money to be able to do that. So so that's why they went to that kind of format. I think they realized that too. So we've seen a lot of the leaked photos. We've heard a lot of things. Jack, have you heard anything about?
I've been keeping up with it. Like, I love the Avata. Like, it is probably, I guess if you twisted my arm, I might tell you it's my favorite drone. I love flying. I'm a big fan of flying FPV, and the image clarity and the stability in the original Avata is so good. It is so much better and easier to fly than any other FPV drone I've ever flown, right? And I've flown plenty, small ones, big ones, hard to fly ones. I'm not a great FPV pilot, but the Avata will make you a decent FPV pilot. And it looks to me like it's going to have a better camera, which is awesome. And it's going to be, it looks like it's more balanced and it's a tiny bit lighter. So I think we're in for a pretty solid drone on the way.
Yeah, one of the things I know Ron and Marcus and I were talking about it is, a lot of people are hoping that the camera can get improved, because while and like you said, the first Avata it's light years ahead of just about anything else FPV wise. For sure. The camera quality wasn't there, and I think a lot of us, like you, of course, and me, and other drone enthusiasts, we're used to an Air 3, we're used to a Mavic 3, we're used to even the Mini 4, we're used to that incredible quality for the videos, and it just wasn't 100% there with the Avata. So I think from what I'm hearing, of course, we don't have any specs out yet. I think from what I'm hearing, I think that's one of the things that they worked on this time around.
Yeah, it looks like the camera on the Avata 2 is going to be the same sensor, the same basic camera as the camera on the Osmo Action 4. It's just Action 4 now, or whatever that camera is. That's what the Avata is going to have, I believe. That's what I've heard. Those are the rumors. So, and that's a pretty solid camera. A little bit of an upgrade from the original Avata. And for people that do fly throughs with Cinewhips and houses, they're putting GoPros on those drones anyway, right? You can't really fly through a home and get good pictures and video, or good video, I should say, with anything much bigger than that, because it just weighs the drone down, right? You're not throwing your DSLR on your Cinewhoop and flying that through a house. So, it's GoPro. It's better than GoPro, right? And I think that's what we're getting. So that's going to be cool.
Before we go, I neglected to mention everybody in the chat, and that's one thing.
Let's say hi to some people. There's some good ones here.
Yeah, we got a good crew here tonight. M Drone 1, Bill is here, John Olson is here, Akarasho is here, Drone Views Media, Flying Flynn Media, John Richard is here, Thomas Baker is here. Who else do we got?
I see Ray Kelly in the chat.
Captain Ray Kelly is here. Lloyd is here, and you're welcome, Lloyd. That was absolutely my pleasure to be able to do that. And we're looking forward to meeting you. Art's here, of course. Let's see who else we have. John Olson. Leonard Oglesby is here. Bud Bieber is here. Okay. All right. Wanted to get caught up with everything.
Yeah.
In terms of price, Jack, there's nothing out there, Ron Marcus and I were kind of talking. We're thinking it's probably going to be like at least a $200, if not $300 bump from what the original Avata when it originally came out. That's kind of the ballpark figure that we were thinking about for that. Any thoughts on that?
I've heard, gosh, I'm trying to look up what is the Avata Flymore combo package with motion controller, right around $1,200, and that's about what I've been hearing for the Flymore combo. And you're going to get the goggles, you'll get the motion controller. I don't know if that'll include 1 or 2 batteries or what you get with that, but yeah, it's going to be right around $1,200, which is a lot. And I really like the motion controller, right? The one-handed joystick, but I don't want it. I don't want to fly any of my drones with it, right? And so I'm going to end up having to buy the FPV controller 2 or 3, or DJI doesn't do a great job of naming their accessories, if you ask me, but whatever. So I think by the time I end up with everything that I want to fly this drone, it's going to be like $1,500. So that's a lot. That's a lot because, and I'm going to buy this drone because I love flying my Avata. Like, we've been doing a lot of e-bike reviews, which I really enjoy doing because, I'll either put Chris or my son will ride the bike, or I'll meet Chris out at the bike paths, and I'll chase him around, up and down these hills, with the Avata. And it's super easy to do, with that drone specifically. And the camera is good enough, that I don't have to add a secondary camera to the original Avata. And I'm really excited to get an even better picture. And I'm hoping for a more maneuverable, more nimble drone. So we'll see.
Well, it's exciting nonetheless. And, one of the other things that we were kind of discussing as well, it seemed like 2023 was it's like every time we took a breath and exhaled, DJI was releasing something. I mean, it was like, boom, 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 just right down the line, all the way down, including like the Pocket 3, the Action 4 came out, Mini 4 Pro. It was just a lot came out in that kind of a time frame, and I know a lot of people were saying, and I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts about it, is, it's like some people are saying, I can't even catch my breath from buying the last DJI product and another one's coming out. What are your thoughts on that? Because it's just and let me just say this, DJI has no rhyme or reason in their release schedule with things. I mean, I've looked at it, I've charted it down on a spreadsheet, and it makes no sense at all. So
I think you're right on there. Like, trying to figure out what they're doing and how they're doing things it's going to drive you mad. But yeah, so we had the Air 3, the Mini 4, like there were just things coming in it. And it's like we had the Mini 3 Pro, and then the Mini 3, and then the Mini 4 Pro was like boom, 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 boom. And they're all, it was like small iterations, right? The Mini 3 Pro was actually a really big change, and that took a while. And then the Mini 3 was a downgrade, and then the Mini 4 Pro was just small incremental changes from the Mini 3 Pro. So yeah, I don't. It was pretty quick, but I think we're we're gonna get this Avata, and I don't know what we're gonna get after that. I think we are going to get an upgraded Mavic at some point.
Yeah,
But
I think so too.
I really wonder when that will be and what that will be, because when that was released, we got the Mavic 3, then we got the Mavic 3 Classic. So we got the Mavic 3 with 2 cameras, then we got the Classic with 1 camera, and then we got the Pro with 3 cameras, right? Is that
Yeah, that's the order. Yeah.
those?
Yeah.
And that was actually a decent chunk of time between, or was it about a year? Was it about a year for all 3 of those drones, Bill?
Yeah, I think it was about a year and a half almost, Jack.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
it's been quite a while. And and conversely with that too, I think what's kind of gotten a little long in the tooth, if you want to use that kind of terminology, is the DJI RC Pro.
yeah.
And my thinking is, when they come out with something like a Mavic 4, so to speak, that they're going to be coming out with a new version of OcuSync again, and they'll be coming out with a new RC Pro again, because to support that. And I don't really force, that RC Pro, depending upon, if they still keep OcuSync 4, or if they upgrade, say, like some of the current drones to the next OcuSync via firmware update, I don't know, I don't know. But I think a lot of people kind of got upset when the RC Pro came out, because, it's like it's compatible. It wasn't backwards compatible with a lot of the drones out there. And I think a lot of people are like, holy cow, you're coming out with a great controller, but it's not backwards compatible.
And then they went out and they released the RC, and then the RC2, which were really good controllers at like a fraction of the cost of that RC Pro. So I think that upset people as well.
Yeah.
If you're just like, listen, I've never had the RC Pro. I've seen them. I've used them, and it's nice. But the RC and the RC2, they're both really good and bright enough. Like, I don't know that it's hard to justify an extra $800 on a controller that just a little bit brighter. Like, I mean, I know it's it's got a few other things, but really, what's the big difference between the RC Pro and the RC2?
I can attest to that, because I did have the RC Pro.
Yeah.
And what I can tell you is it's a little brighter. All right.
Yeah.
I give it that. It's very heavy. I mean, it's one of the ones you got to have it. You got to have a lanyard on. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just no questions asked. All right. But, the quality, as far as, and even the ultimate sun test for that is down in Florida. Okay. Because, we get sun pretty much 12 months out of 12 months.
Yep.
And the way the UV rays hit, it's pretty bright, and I can tell you, even with like the RC2, I'm not having any problem seeing that screen. I mean, like, it used to be like back in the day, I used to have to get into my car or something if I'm looking, using my Galaxy phone, because, the screen's getting washed out and I can't see it, kind of a thing. I didn't have to do that. All right. And I like the fact that it's a lot lighter. It's, is it missing some of the features? Yeah. But you know what? It's like, okay, what am I looking for? I'm looking for it to work, as is, and the other thing is, I do a screen recording, and I got started with that on day one. Since ever since I've been having drones, because, I've heard a lot of people say, they've crashed and they need proof and everything, and I just, day one, every drone flight I've taken for the last 5-6 years since I've been flying drones, I've done screen recordings, and they do it very well. And there's enough memory on there. You can stick an SD card in there. You can put in the SD card if you want or not. Usually has enough memory in there to do that. So, the whole thing for an RC Pro, for me, I had one, I ended up selling it, because, these ones that come with like the Mavic 3 and the Air 3 are fine.
Yeah, they really are.
They really are.
On the screen recording thing, I'm with you. I do also screen record a lot. The one big disadvantage of this RC2 and RC, and I think maybe the Pro did have a mic, right? Did it? So you could record your voice.
Yes.
So, and you can, I've done it with where you add an external mic. So that's kind of nice, that you can do that, but it's kind of, whatever. I mean, how many people do screen record like you and I, but whatever. The other thing is recording to an SD card on one of these things is the least intuitive thing possible. It is like there are menus on menus to get to recording on an SD card. Like I put in an SD card, it's like, do you want to format it? Yes. Do you want to switch to use the SD card? Yes. Now, why isn't it recording there? Like when I screen record, it's and I forget the song and dance, and you gotta go through a bunch of menus. It's moderately annoying.
Well, one of the things that I found, and I put a video out there, and it's not a long video, is I get a USB A to USB-C cable. All right, I hook that up, and then I hook it up to my PC, and it gets you right to that file. You go to video, you find it, and I just download it that way. I found that's been the easiest way to do that. And
yeah, that works. Yeah, that's generally what I do, because I haven't been recording to the SD card. So yeah, I just turn it on, and boom, it pops up as a device, and then I record. Yeah, I download it. Yep.
Yeah. So, well, going to move on here. One of the things that I wanted to spend a few minutes about, and I don't know if you kept tabs on this or not.
I have actually. I've watched this a little bit because
this was
Maverick Pro for $800, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, this is driving you crazy.
Yeah, and it was one of those things. It took a lot of persistence, and it took a lot of patience, and it took connecting to the right, doing the right thing, and the right thing ended up being emailing Amazon customer support. Now, what was interesting, when you would email them, it would say that it acknowledged it and it got the email, but it would also kick one back and say that this email address isn't monitored. Okay, and I've told people, I said, number one, ignore that. Okay, they're just telling you that. All right. And what I did was it got to the attention of what's called executive customer service at Amazon. I was told by an agent. Finally, I talked to what I would consider a good agent who was in the United States. All right. He knew instantly what was going on. He looked through my situation within 3 minutes. He assessed the situation perfectly. And he told me, he said, it's his executive customer relations. It doesn't get any higher than that. I can't promise you anything, but I'm sure you'll probably be getting a phone call within the next 24 hours. So the next day, which was Saturday morning, about 10 o'clock, I get a phone call. Wonderful person. She was fantastic. And she told me, she said, you've detailed everything out. I put the time and dates and the times of the phone calls and everything, and screenshots, of emails, everything was there. And she said, we're going to go ahead and honor this. We normally don't do a price match, but and I think the whole key for this was, this was a third party seller, true, but it was fulfilled by Amazon. That's the key right there. Right. And when everybody ordered that, if it was not in stock, which they ended up claiming that in 3 days, they said, we're canceling your order because it's not in stock. They would have known Monday when everybody had placed their orders. So, that was the whole crux of the matter right there. And it ended up within a few minutes of that phone call. She told me, she sent me an email to confirm everything. Lo and behold, within 10 minutes, I saw that credit out on Amazon. And then within another 20 minutes, it was back on my payment method already. So I end up getting that for $799. So later this week, I'm actually going to be doing an unboxing, because I think it's special enough to do an unboxing on, and then going to take it out for its first flight. So I'm pretty excited. And I'm pretty stoked about it. And even if a Mavic 4 comes out, it's not going anywhere. It's one of those ones that I'm just going to kind of hang on to. So, but yeah. And I've been in the real nice thing, and I know you've experienced this, Jack. The drone community is wonderful, because I've had many people email me and message me, and I'm trying to share tips with them on trying to get this done, and and I'm telling them everything that I did. And I said, the number one thing, and I found this out, and I think you could probably attest to this, especially with DJI, is to be kind to them. Okay, to show kindness in your emails and your conversation with them, and don't get angry and upset, because that's not going to get you anywhere. And 9 times out of 10,
that's true with so many things, actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So there was a silver lining in all of this, which I thought was a good thing. So, but yeah, it took a while, but it ended up in my favor.
There you go.
So I'm
excellent.
I'm pretty happy about that. I want to spend a few minutes before we get to the main topic of the night on these Chinese or the DJI drone ban that's coming up now. First of all, I just wanted to get your thoughts, Jack, on this, because, we've gone through this iteration in Congress several times before, and it seems, I guess, this one, from what I read, may have a little more steam to it. What are your thoughts on all this?
I think that it is probably overstated how likely it is to actually be passed. I would be very surprised if it in fact did pass on the consumer level, right? So is it possible? Yes. I was just, trying to see if I can find a couple of articles, but it just doesn't seem like it has the teeth to actually get passed. I hope it doesn't. I think, on a selfish level, I hope it doesn't. But when I take who I am and what I do out of it, like, I fly drones for fun. It is a hobby of mine. I make a little bit of money doing it. But at the end of the day, if they ban DJI drones, it doesn't affect my livelihood, right? I am a high school teacher. That's what I do. I do teach a drones class, and we fly some DJI stuff. We can fly whatever. But it'll affect the livelihood of people, right? That fly drones, that do photography professionally. And the options out there outside of DJI, they just don't exist, right? Like, if it's an origin ban, right? If we're going to ban, so there are a couple of things that have been talked about, right? So there's a country of origin ban. So anything coming from China that's a drone, that's a terrible idea because they all come from China. And then there's the DJI specific ban, and both of these things, have been tossed around. That's a little bit more plausible, but I think still, like, because that is such a huge part of the market, and it is literally the best one out there, I don't know that that's really debatable, right? So I think it would be terrible for a lot of people outside of guys like you and I, that we, largely we do this for fun,
Well, the first person for me that comes to mind is Original Dobo, because that's what he does for a living.
Yeah.
He has real estate photography, and he uses his, drones are an integral part of his job. I mean, it's his bread and butter. And I think he was on, I think it was last week when he was on Drone Nation, he talked a little bit about this, and he said, he would have to go to like a Sony product, okay, because Sony makes a drone. And, he said it would be like on every shoot, he would have to adjust the camera angle, fix things after each flight. And, it would be just a real pain in the rear end for him. He said that. And
it would be more expensive too.
Yeah. And it's going to be much more expensive. I mean, these drones are definitely, not cheap at all. I know the Sony drone especially, I mean, because that's probably one of the few viable alternatives in all of this. And, one of the other things I did, actually, I emailed my my congressman, and I emailed my 2 United States senators on this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, they happen to be Republican, but, this isn't a Republican Democrat issue, because it's both sides are the ones that want to do this. And, none of them have really come up with any kind of concrete proof that, that DJI or Chinese drones are, stealing this data and providing, the Chinese Communist Party, infrastructure data and all this. In fact, I think there were a couple, at least 2, if not 3, independent audits of
Correct.
DJI, and they showed nothing.
Right.
And they said the only thing that would go would be what we gave them permission to.
Yeah. The thing that is I would love someone to explain to me. Let's pretend for a second that the Chinese government wants to know where I'm flying. My question is why, and what are they going to do with me filming the local parks and the, like the wedding shoots and stuff? Like, if they're like, oh, they're gonna steal secret angles of the White House. No, you can't fly over by the White House, because all of the stuff in theory that they would actually want access to, we can't fly there because they're geo-locked anyway. So it is a really dumb argument to start with. And then when you dig deeper, it's more political than anything else, right? So like China says, well, you know what, we're just going to ban all computers in China that run on Windows operating systems.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, because Windows is stealing our data and sending it back to the United States. Like these are the stupid things that are going to happen if we keep pushing all of these dumb ideas forward. Like, listen, I'm not big into conspiracy theories. I tend to think that, there are way too many rabbit holes that people get stuck in, right? And let's just stop and think, like, logically, what makes the most sense? And two, is it really best for Americans not be able to buy flying cameras because they were made in China? Like, what kind of information are they getting off of our flying cameras? The answer is nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, for me, and as we talked before the show, one of my other hobbies is ham radio. Most of the ham radios that are for sale in the United States are made in Japan, but there are quite a few that are made over in China. All right. And you don't hear anything about a ban on ham radios from China. All right. It's just, it's six of one, half dozen of the other, and like you said, okay. Another example, okay, Apple iPhones, they're all made over in China. So, now, they did prove that Huawei was actually, was stealing things and getting that data, and they shut it down, which was fine. But there's been proof about this. And personally, I agree with you. I'm not big into conspiracy theories either, but I think a lot of this is political posturing in an election year. All right. And I think another part of this has to do with wanting to clear the airspace for, say, UPS or Amazon or Walgreens or Walmart or whoever wants to fly commercial drones. But I'm going to just do a real short sidebar right here. All right. How long, Jack, as long as I've been on doing the show for over 7 years, okay, they've been talking about it, but it's not anywhere near what it should be. All right. Amazon's been working on it for years. UPS, I know Walmart's been working on it as well. And it's not there.
It's logistical nightmare, right? So like, drones, they're not great in terms of carrying capacity, right? And how do you get a drone to carry more? Well, you make the propellers bigger, right? And when you make a drone bigger, you got to put a bigger battery on it so that it can fly. And the heavier you make it, you're reducing the flight time. So you have those diminishing returns anytime you do anything to make it fly longer or carry more. Drones are not super efficient in terms of flight. Now, there are some potential options out there with fixed wing aircrafts that drop more of like a traditional drone on like a string, but like they're the logistical nightmares that need to be figured out. The airspaces, the remote ID is really kind of step one, I think, into making this feasible, right? Remote ID isn't really about you and I flying drones so that Karens can know where we're at and what we're flying. It's so that people can figure out what is going on in the airspace and is it all accounted for, so that Amazon and Walmart and whoever can deliver your packages to your front door in 24 hours. I think it will come in certain locations. It doesn't make sense for, I live in a neighborhood outside of Chicago where there are, I've got people up and down my street, right? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to use drones to deliver to people like me. But, my parents live out in the countryside where their, houses are a little bit further apart. Now that is where you're going to make some gains. But again, you're going to be limited in what you can deliver because of the size and the ability of, what drones can carry and what they're capable of handling in terms of payload.
Yeah. And and I think you're right. It's a logistical nightmare. There's too many moving parts to get something like that to work the way they want it to work. And, it's just, and, one of the biggest things, as you mentioned, is payload. You're very limited with what you can do. And then the bigger you make the drone, okay, conversely, it goes against, some of the FAA rules that we have to follow as Part 107 pilots, flying drones over people, having an ability, a lot of them have to have an ability to have some kind of a parachute or recovery system on it. So, it's just, there's just it opens up a whole can of worms on this.
Sure. And there is legislation, the 108, and I saw something in the chat here about a 108 coming about drones over 55 pounds and how they're not going to share the same space that we will with our drones. And that is probably mostly true, but it can't be totally true, right? Like if I order a package from Amazon and they're going to deliver it to me, right? I don't live at 401 feet above ground level, right? It's got to come down into the same airspace that I'm in at some point, right? So, I don't know the 108 rules. At some point, I'll probably have to figure them out, but not today. And 108 has been a couple of different things, right? So, they were talking about doing shielded operations. Gosh, I would love shielded operations. And for those of you that aren't familiar with shielded operations, that would be something like, hey, you can just fly if you're under 200 feet or 100 feet or the lowest roof or tree line, right? Shielded operations would mean you wouldn't have to worry about remote ID or other various regulations under a certain threshold. And that maybe that comes with 108 also. I don't know. We'll find out. But these things, they're evolving and they're changing and becoming more restricted. We'll see.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I think we're going to have to pay attention to going forward on this. So now we're going to go ahead and spend some time on this because I know a lot of people have I'm trying to get there. We go. Okay. We're going to talk about the Cogito Specta Air and Specta Mini. And things I want to do right away is, and there it is. Jack has it right there. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look. And there's the Specta Mini next to the Specta Air.
I don't think I've shown this one on camera yet.
Well, there. Oh, wow. There you go.
There you go. That's a sneak peek.
First here, guys.
We've never seen anything that looked like this before, have we?
No, not at all. Never. Okay. And if you look at the Half Chrome website here, you can take a look. Jack has done, and I got to say this, and I know I mentioned this to you in an email. You've done tremendous work with the Specta Air, Jack. You really have. You've covered it backwards, forwards, literally insides and out. So, hat tip to you for all your hard work with this.
Thanks. It's a lot of fun. Like, it is hilarious because I never expected this thing to be what it was. So Cogito reached out to me, weeks ago, right? And they said, hey, would you be interested in this drone? And they sent me pictures of it and they sent me specs. I'm like, this is the Air 3. And my first thought was, this is also a scam. But you know what? I'm in. Let's do it. Send me this drone, and I'm gonna make a funny video about how, it has a terrible camera and brushed motors and whatever. And then it shows up in this box right here. I'm like, oh no, this thing might actually be legit. And lo and behold, it certainly is, and my brother-in-law, Chris, and I, we run this channel together. We put this thing through the paces. we put it right up with the Air 3. We did a video comparison. We did a range test. We did a speed test. We did an obstacle avoidance test. We compared their cameras in photos. Chris took this thing apart and put it back together to look at the insides. Like, it isn't like somebody made a really good copy of the Air 3. This is the Air 3, right? It's made in the same process, probably in the same factories as the Air 3. Software is the same, right? The remotes are the same. Everything is the same. It's amazing, actually.
Yeah, it really is. Now, one of the things that I want to tell everybody is, I contacted Specta, Cogito, whatever you want to call it, and they're going to be sending me the Specta Mini. Now they don't have a firm date, but the email that I got from my contact with them said end of April. So, obviously he said you do your video, but we don't want you to release it. And I'm sure Jack probably is the same way. They don't want us to release it until the end of April. But if you look at it, the Mini, I mean, seriously, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, it's another instance here of a DJI drone that's not a DJI drone.
Correct. Yeah. So this, and I actually have not flown this, right? Because the firmware, or the app, right? I need an app because it doesn't fly with the other one flew with the RC2. This one has the RC N1. Actually, no, I lied. This is the Specta Mini RC, totally different than the RC N1 from DJI. But the app doesn't exist in the App Store. It does exist on Android, but I don't have an Android phone. And Chris, who does, was in California until today. Actually, I think he gets back today. So I'll be able to test this thing this upcoming weekend. But Chris took the Air 3 with him to Palm Springs, California, and he got some unbelievable footage. I did put some of
I did see some of that
footage in the videos, but he went out that the last day I posted, that was the remote for the Mini, right here. That's it. He got some pictures of rainbows over the mountains in Palm Springs. It's unbelievable. I wonder, can I show some of that? Let's see.
Absolutely.
Here, let's see if I can. I'll get this up on my here. Present, share screen. All right, give me a second here. I want this one. Okay. Let's see. All right, here we go. So, it's, I don't know, you might get a little bit of a stutter here, but you see that rainbow in the back? Like, that's pretty awesome shots. He was outside of Palm Springs, and it just, it worked that I'm like, yeah, you know what, Chris, why don't you take this thing I love the shadows from the clouds. I think that's a pretty awesome shot right there.
Yeah.
This is all from the Cogito, the Specta Air. This is a non-DJI drone. But it's absolutely capable of some pretty awesome stuff. I mean, look at that. Like, that's an awesome shot. I told him we should put this
really
up.
Is.
And, this, like, somebody will buy this as stock footage, just.
Oh yeah. It's definitely kind of stock footage kind of stuff.
But yeah, the camera on the Specta Air, it's legit. It is gorgeous. I see some things in the comments, the tariffs on DJI drones. Tariffs, I believe, a lot of that has to do with, where the drones are produced. And this drone is supposedly built in Malaysia. That's what the sticker on it says. And I believe that's going to allow them to have lower tariffs, right? So they're going to have a lower cost to selling this drone, right? So I believe the tariff costs are whatever we end up paying them, but they can lower the cost on the drone a little bit that way because it's made in in Malaysia versus being made in China. But yeah, I just thought I'd share some of that footage there.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you for doing that. That was great.
Yeah. So Chris, yeah, he took it with him. So I actually have two of these drones. This one here, this is the first one they sent me. It doesn't actually work because the firmware wasn't compatible, and I'm sending this back to them. I'll do that probably tomorrow afternoon. But I couldn't get it activated, right? And rumor is that they activate through DJI servers and whatnot anyway. So, you know, is there a hack that'll be 100% compatible to the Air 3? I'm sure that there's somebody that can do that. That somebody is not me. I don't know how that works. You know, how does that drone mimic the Air 3 cost? I think, you know, so one of the things that is interesting about this, right? So you get this drone, one battery, and the DJI RC2, and that's $1,200, right? So if I wanted to buy with one battery, if I want to buy the DJI Air 3, I don't have the option to buy it with that remote. I have to buy it with one that looks like this, and that's, what is that, $1,100, right? So for an extra $100, you get a screen. Is one way to look at it. So is it cheaper? No. But if I wanted to buy this drone from DJI, and I also wanted this remote with the screen, this remote with the screen is $255. So it's going to end up costing me more, right, to buy it through DJI. So that's one thing. You know, I made a whole video on my theories, and I think the tariff has something to do with it. Is the ban a potential? Is this potentially a workaround for a ban? Maybe, but I think in time this would, they would, if they prove this was made by DJI, would also get banned. But I think DJI, this is just another way for DJI to make sure that they're making money, right? So they're selling this drone. Most likely what is happening is they made a bunch of Air 3s, or they have a bunch of Air 3 parts. So they're putting them together and they're bulk selling them to Specta, who then in turn pays for that or whatever, and then sells them to us on Amazon. Like, they have made an agreement with DJI to sell this. They bought them in bulk or at cost or whatever, surplus, and they're said, we're gonna sell them on Amazon in the US market. That's what we're gonna do. And I think that makes not as much sense with the Air 3, but it absolutely makes sense when you think about a drone like this, right? This isn't the Mini 3, this isn't the Mini 4, this is a Mini 2 or Mini 2 SE. Now it supposedly has a 4K camera, which the Mini 2 SE only does 2.7K. But you know what? Spoiler alert, the Mini 2 SE actually has a 4K camera. It'll take 4K pictures, but it won't do 4K video. So why is that?
Yeah.
It's because DJI doesn't want you to. They want you to spend a little bit more to buy the Mini 2, which they don't sell anymore because it's basically the same price as the Mini 3, which does do 4K. So, this is a way for them to sell a bunch of these drones, because this is a great drone. I mean, this is a really good drone. I just made a video. I have a Mavic Mini, an original Mavic Mini. I have a Mini 2, Mini 3, Mini 4, right? I got them all. And I just made a video comparing, the original Mini to the Mini 4. And it is a significant change from one to the other. But the original is still a fantastic drone.
Oh, yeah.
And the Mini 2 and the Mini 2 SE were just iterations. It just made it a little bit better. Like, if this drone is $300, and I don't know did they tell you the price point I asked?
No, they didn't tell me yet, but they said something around 300.
Yeah, 300 has got to be my guess, right? My guess is this thing will be $299, and this will absolutely be the best drone that you can buy for $299 or $300. Like, your other options are what? You could buy maybe the Fimi Mini. I think that's right around $300. You could buy the Potenzic Atom. That's about $300. You might be able to still find a Mini 2 SE, but those were up around $335 the last time I checked. Right. And then after that, you're stuck with things from Holy Stone and MJX, and you know what? No, thank you. I would, I would take any of those drones over that, and I would still take any of these DJI drones I've talked about over any of those.
Oh,
So,
absolutely, absolutely. And uh, you made a lot of sense when you were talking about how what your theories are regarding what's going on here. And somebody, and I think it may have been Candano, I'm not sure. For example, the triple tech tablets that a lot of people get to use
mhm.
with their drones. Triple Tech doesn't make them. Okay, they're made for them, and they slap the Triple Tech label on them. So this is the same kind of an instance here, where Cogito is a real company. They're you go
Yeah,
out there and do some research. They are a real technology company. Okay, and I think they're based in Hong Kong, if I'm not mistaken. Okay,
yes,
so
that is
they're
correct.
a real company, and they went out. I mean, because this had to have some type of wireless communications. It got an FCC approval, so that was out there. It's out on that
Yep.
database. Because a lot of people at first were questioning the legitimacy of all this, and I said, if it's out on the FCC database, it's the real deal. Okay, I mean,
Yes.
no ifs, ands, or buts. And and I have a little, I do have a little bit of working knowledge of the FCC, being a licensed ham
There
radio
you go. Yep.
operator. So all in all, I think it's I think it's a win for us. Now,
Oh,
right
absolutely.
now, currently, I went out there, the website's still not up yet. They don't have that active.
Oh, it's
Um,
active.
it is now.
Yeah. Here, I'll pull it up. Here we
Go
go.
ahead. Absolutely.
Or at least, well, they sent it to me. Um, yeah, here we go. Boom.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's an active website. There's the Mini. I figured it was okay to show the actual drone because they have it on their website,
It's on their
right? So look,
website. Yeah.
there's the Mini, 249, 4K, 3-axis gimbal, 328,000 foot distance transmission. I don't know what that means. What is that? We'll figure that out in a second. Coming soon. And then we get to the Specta Air, right? And if you, here's our company, Cogito Techs Limited. That is a real company. It is based in Hong Kong. Yeah, it says it right there. If you guys have questions, email them here after sales. And you can ask them other questions. I've emailed after sales. I have a contact for Cogito. I email them both because I'm like, well, somebody will get back to me. I'll just email as many
Now,
people.
do they have batteries available for the Air?
Not yet. I was told probably around the same time that that they launched the Mini, they should have some of those accessories.
Okay, good. Okay,
Because that is a big deal. Because I can't use a DJI Air 3 battery.
right.
It comes
Right.
up with an error, and I cannot use a DJI remote. The Faith Mini drone. Someone mentioned that. Yeah, I would take the Faith Mini drone. Comes in after the Potenzic, which comes in after the Fimi Mini. I fly all the Mini drones. I love sub 250 drones. They're nice and inconspicuous. They're not super loud. They take decent pictures and video. If we click shop now, we're just going to go to their Specta store, which is Amazon. So that's what we get. But
well, it's great that the website's up and running. That's a real good thing. And I want to surprise everybody here. It's probably not a big surprise, but
I bet I know what it is. I bet it's a drone.
Yeah.
Boom.
This came the other day. So
there it is.
We're gonna see this in action. And I'm thrilled about this, Jack, because I watched yours. I mean, you did, like I said, you and Chris just did yeoman's duty on this. You really did the nth degree. And there were a couple other really good ones out there as well. A couple other reviewers had gotten a hold of it. There are a couple of so-sos that weren't really that good, but for the most part, yours and Chris's were, I think they're the gold standard for this.
Thank you.
And what you've done, and I think you've done the drone community a great service, because regardless of the purpose that Cogito made, why they're doing this, all right, you literally gave us an alternative. They literally gave us an alternative to DJI. And while it's not incredibly less than a DJI drone, it is less. and we'll be finding out more about their service as well too, and also accessories. And they're coming out with this, but I mean, it's a breath of fresh air because
I agree.
we saw Skydio come and go. I mean, they're gone now for consumers. Parrot has come and gone. They're gone for consumers. Unique, who even I don't even know if they're still in business.
I don't think so.
And there's lots of rumors about Autel, going the way of Skydio. So we have what I call a game changer here.
Yeah.
And for me, and I'll tell you this, the last several months, the Mini 4, I love the Mini 4 Pro, absolutely love it. But I'll tell you what, 9 times out of 10, that drone that I'm going to reach for to fly on the weekend was the Air 3. All right, because it did everything, and it did it extremely well. All right,
yeah, it really does.
And that's why I'm looking forward to having this and using this in conjunction with the Air 3, and just use it as a in partnership with it. So I'm real excited about this.
It is great.
I really am.
There's a question here. The question is, will they launch something similar to Care Refresh? But really, like, I have never ever bought Care Refresh from DJI. Right? I don't crash. One, I don't crash these drones. They're really hard to crash. But I understand, like, people want that insurance policy, right? Why wouldn't you just go through your own insurance, which I know you can, or get a policy when you buy the drone from Amazon? So when we bought the DJI FPV drone, I bought it on Amazon, and I bought the insurance policy for that drone on Amazon because I'm like, if I'm going to crash something, it's going to be this thing. And it was cheaper. And I ended up I never broke it. I never needed to use that insurance policy, but you don't have to get Care Refresh from DJI. Now, the other thing that people, I think is crazy, and people don't think about this, like I teach a drones class up at a local high school, right? And we have a fleet of DJI Minis, Mavic Minis, actually, the originals, the ones. And they're kids, right? So we crashed one. We broke one last year. I sent it to DJI. They fixed it for like $120. Like, what? I didn't have Care Refresh. Like, what is, like, am I really saving money with Care Refresh when I could just send it back and have it repaired? Like, people, it's not a deal breaker. There are other options. I think there are better options. And probably the one I'd recommend is just don't get it.
And one of the things that we talked about before the show tonight was, I have State Farm personal articles policy on all my drones. All right. And I did get Care Refresh on some things, but for every drone, I make sure that is added to my personal articles policy, because, for example, Care Refresh, if you can't send the drone back to them, Care Refresh isn't going to work. All right. You have to be able to recover that drone. And say, for example, I go flying out over the bay here in Tampa or something happens, and boom, my drone hits the water, it's gone. I can't do anything. So with my personal articles policy, I've already talked to my agent, and I asked about it, and they said, all you got to do is tell us that, Bill, and it's like, when you do have to provide a proof of sale, you do have to provide a UPC and the serial number for the product, but, I do personal article policy. I have it on all my electronic equipment with State Farm. They're wonderful. And I found a great agent by me. And, initially, to have like maybe 2 or 3 drones was like $79 for a year, and it's full replacement. It's just full replacement.
That's
you can't beat it.
Such a better deal.
It really is. And it's for like $79 for that. I mean, for what they're charging for Care Refresh, it's quite a bit. So,
that's the way to do it, right? People, better options. Look into them.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, Care Refresh is easy, right? I get it. You click a button, it's it's tied. It seems like it's just going to be good because it's got it's tied right to DJI. They are I have sent things to DJI for repair. That not under Care Refresh and that I didn't have to pay for, right? My Avata it malfunctioned or whatever. So I sent it back to them because I'm like, listen, I need you guys to fix it. I'll pay for it, right? And they're like, all right, what's going to be? I forget X number of dollars because I need proof that it wasn't your fault. I'm like, oh, you know what? There's a video on that drone here. Let me just send it to you, showing you how it, it didn't react the way it was supposed to. And like, oh yeah, you know what? No, that's good. And they just sent me a new one.
Hey Jack, can you drop a link for the site
website
in the chat? I had a couple of people asking for that, so
you bet. Let me see. www. Text. Yeah, you got it. Here we go, people. Post.
Awesome.
Boom. Check it out. Cogitotex.com. That's the website there.
Awesome.
It's a great question here. Is Cogito run by a 20-year-old named Charlie? That's hilarious. It did really seem kind of like that, and it is actually a very similar situation to the EXO thing. But listen, I got to give Charlie some props because, man, a 20-year-old kid doing what he did, go Charlie. He sold that thing. He's what is he doing now? I saw him selling skateboards or something, electric skateboards. I think that.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing now. He's selling electric skateboards. Let me see.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. So, it's been a great evening. I don't, we usually wrap things up here around 9. It's around 9 o'clock Eastern time here. So we kind of wrap things up. First and foremost, I want to profusely thank Jack because I know, we're all busy. We all have a lot to do, for taking an hour out of his time here on a Tuesday evening to spend it with us and talk shop. It's always great. And like Jack said, if you don't have to twist my arm too much to talk about drones. Okay. it's really kind of an easy thing. So, kudos to you, Jack, and also Chris as well, too, for doing that work you did with the Cogito Air and coming up with the Specta Air and with the Specta Mini that's coming up. So, and I'm looking forward to testing that. And for me, I have an Android phone. I have a Samsung Galaxy. So it'll be, it'll be easy for me to be able to download the app and get going with that. And I'm excited to do that as well too. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, thanks for having me. It won't let me post the link in the chat. So I sent it to you via the private chat. If you want to throw it in there, Bill, you can.
Okay. Yeah. Let me
drop
go
it
ahead.
down there
And I
people.
think just go ahead and put a post in there. And what I'll do is I'll give you a wrench so you can do, I think that's the thing. I think you have to do that. So just go ahead and put a post out there.
Will that work? Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of acting goofy for me. It's like posting everything I do twice, but this one's failing twice.
Yeah.
It's www.cogito-tex.com.
All right, I got that. Let's do that. There it is. Okay.
Boom. There it is.
So there it is for that. So, yeah. Jack, any other closing thoughts before we wrap things up tonight?
No, thanks for having me. I wish that I could join you guys in the South Florida meetup. It is a good time. I've done a few meetups. We did one in Chicago. We should do that again this summer. We actually had some people from Florida come up, so that was a good time. But good luck flying, guys. If people have questions about the Cogito, the Specta Air, drones, whatever, shoot me an email, drones@halfchrome.com or jack@halfchrome.com. And I'd certainly, I answer all my emails. I try to answer all my comments on YouTube as well. So,
yeah. And you guys do stellar work. And I can tell you, after meeting you guys in person, you guys are the real deal. And thank you for what you do for the drone community, because, so much of what we do goes on, we're kind of like unsung heroes, I think. And I think we're the front line for a lot of people out there. People look to us to be able to get these drones, put them through their paces, and tell them, is this something you should get? Or, should you wait? All that, and answer a lot of their questions. And I think, we do that. And of course, you have a full-time job as well as I do. And, we're doing this not because, anybody puts a gun to our head, but we're doing it because we like doing it.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
love
a hobby.
It is
and
so
we're having
fun.
fun. So,
It was perfect timing because I'm a teacher, right? I was on spring break last week, so that is the only reason I was capable of creating that content that we created, because it was just kind of that perfect storm. I was on break, I had these drones, I had some time, so we did it. So
that's perfect. That is just absolutely perfect. And I got a special place in my heart for teachers because my dad taught elementary art for 40 years. So,
awesome.
yeah, it's right here. So, hang on a second here. We're going to wrap things up. Everybody, looking forward to seeing you guys on Saturday down at the South Florida Drone Meetup. And again, be aware of the weather that's coming up, especially tomorrow if you're traveling. So be careful. Safe travels to everyone. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. And as always, guys, it's a great day to fly. Take care. Have a great rest of your evening.